Okay, we're doing it. Are we live? There we go. Alright, so I have been streaming a bunch of my work on this channel, doing design and development stuff, and it's gotten me kind of nowhere. Well, that was a couple weeks ago, but for definitely several months, really many years, been working on stuff and not really getting anywhere. And it's kind of weird. Like, I was just kind of felt like it was a matter of time, and if that I was working in the right direction, and that if I kept putting in the time, I'd eventually get where I wanted to be. Turns out that's not the case. Starbucks. What do you want? Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. Obviously, these streams to nobody don't really help, but it is just sort of a vlog. A log of where I'm at. And if ever I'm wondering what I was doing with my life, here it is. So I just got back from Germany, and that was good. It was a break from all this tech madness, and I've been thinking. I definitely put on some weight, drank a lot of beer, and I've always wanted to get in shape and actually get more disciplined about the whole fitness thing. And last year, around my birthday, which coming up about a year ago, I spent 3 months going to the gym 3 times a week. And I thought that would help, and it didn't really help at all. And that's why I gave up on it, because it just was a lot of time and energy, and I didn't enjoy it. I gave up on coffee. I gave up on a lot of things. Well, so the reason why I came down here, I needed to turn on my computer to check an email attachment, but there were really some things that I wanted to, hit me as I was sitting down here. It's basically like create a plan and then do it. And repeat. And you just get good at that cycle of like task, finish, task, finish, task, finish. Obviously, right? When it comes to these bigger, coding operations, design operations, where you're just kind of exploring the unknown, it becomes much more difficult. But I need a system to turn me into a better person. And I do think push-ups and sit-ups might be part of that system. I don't know, I was thinking about the cannabis edibles. Like, they definitely help me, but they're also pretty intense and lead me on a wild goose chase. They make it feel like I'm doing something, and they do, kind of power my brain to be way more powerful than if I wasn't using them. It's just, if it's distracted and then drains the crap out of me, might not be a good thing in the long run. The problem with not using them is that it's just so exhausting, and I'm just burned out on trying to do all the coding stuff, design coding stuff, because it's like, without that motivation, I'm just Not sure exactly what to work on next. Nothing, no one task is going to be like, okay, this big breakthrough moment where I'm like, okay, now I know what to do. There are a couple that I've been really struggling with, like the navigation. I don't know why this thing's so elusive to me. Probably should have given it more thought over the vacation, but it's basically like, how do I start creating a bunch of things for my website in an organized way? I mean, the folder system isn't bad. I think it will work. But, well, then the next question becomes is what do you create first? Now you have a system for creating a lot of things. And frankly, it's creating some navigational variants, like where does the sidebar go? Is there a top bar? Is there, left sidebar, right sidebar, footer nav, mobile nav? Like, there's a lot of different pieces to that whole puzzle to come together properly. And I do think I could create some kind of just fundamental examples that might help people as like a guide to just wrap your head around this whole website navigation thing, because it's for simple websites it's not so hard, although there are a lot of little caveats to how that might work, like how many items in your nav, and do you want sub items to those nav items, and how does that work on desktop versus mobile? So working on the website stuff is definitely important. I need to, for my own sanity's sake, for how much time I put into this, I really need to get that done. I don't know. I feel like life is such bullshit. I feel like it's just contrived system that makes us struggle relentlessly for some unknown reason. That none of this coding stuff really matters all that much, and it's probably not even that hard to figure out. It's just my brain that is spiritually connected is incredibly capable at some times and incredibly incapable of anything at other times. And that's the bullshit. It's so hard for me to continue trying to live my life when I hate it. Like, the good parts are a trap, and the bad parts are relentless and exhausting and continuous and unavoidable and eternal. So, but I have no choice, even though I don't really want to do this. I'm going to keep at it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know if I could get a little bit of a following. I think that could help a lot. I think I might have messed up my social media channels by posting too much bullshit. Not really sure on that. God, the social media accounts it's such a headache. It's like I have several different YouTube channels, and some of them are verified with my phone number, but you can only verify 2 channels with your phone number. So like the other 2 channels or 3 channels are not verified, and I don't know if that matters. So like if you're starting a new channel, do you have to worry that you're not verified? Maybe they don't boost your shit as much. Maybe it's just a piece of the puzzle, but like, frankly, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe you just need people to, actually show up and check it out. I do think having a website where I can put, forget YouTube, just create the website. If I can get people to install my website as an app on their phone via the progressive web app system, that could be a pretty quick and easy way. I don't know if Apple supports those PWAs. I feel like Google on Android, at least initially, had better support where you could add it as a home screen icon pretty quick and easy. I believe it then removes the address bar, so it is just sort of like a little app experience. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do with the website, the framework, to just get it working better. And I don't know. Part of me is like, maybe this is just the wrong thing for me to work on. Maybe I should just go get a job at wherever and not care about website development. But part of me thinks like, started this whole journey, and but like, I mean, it's not like I'm anywhere close to having a working product. I've been spinning my wheels and splitting hairs about the actual framework that runs the whole thing, and really at like a bad level, like at a really low level, I've just kind of given up on most of the features and just gone to bare bones. But like, now I'm trying to get back to like, okay, how do I get a working web app? And I mean, it's been a big waste of time. It's been a really bad experience. It's been a lot of thinking things through in circles, like, just not a great way to do this. And thinking through, is it worth it? What do I get from it? What can I actually get done? How long does it take me? A lot of just sitting around thinking, because like I said, my brain doesn't work so well. Well, when it comes time to code out some task, if your boss is, demanding it, and that's the job at hand, you kind of have no choice but to give it a shot and do your best to get it done in a certain amount of time. Without a boss, I don't have that luxury. I'm my own boss. Well, maybe that's where these plans, creating a plan and sticking to it, is a better idea. And there's a lot of little plans. I mean, I think the little bite-sized pieces are probably the best things to do. But, okay, so if I were to start creating, for example, one UI element per day, I mean, it's kind of a useless exercise, because if I need a new one, just create it, and if I don't, then don't. Like, but it's sort of more like doing bite-sized, repetition type shit. But it is more of the big picture. How do I organize all the things? And I mean, on my website, it's the paths, it's the pages, it's the sub pages, and it's getting it all to flow. Still not 100% sure if I need everything to be exported and imported, so that like all the content is embeddable, essentially. It seems like a good idea, but at the same time, it seems like it's really just a little bit more coding work, and it kills one of the kind of the nicer aspects of the framework, is that you can put the content at the root of the file, so you don't have to wrap it in some little wrapper function and then tab it all in, which isn't really a big deal, but it's kind of nice to be able to just put the content in the root and then let the framework handle it. And well, I think I could find some workarounds to that. Well, so this is where I waste entire days thinking about what could be and would it work, because it's like, there's a lot of potential there. I think there is a solution, but most of the ideas I have are kind of like, okay, maybe, but it's not necessarily going to work that well. And so then I just kind of go around in circles, like, maybe, but I don't know. How long would that take? So, probably will go get some coffee going. I do think I need to do some push-ups and sit-ups. And I probably will take a gummy and just see what happens because, you know, I'm just sitting in this chair in this house. I'm just so burnt out with the whole thing. Like, I was kind of thinking the vacation would help, and it kind of did, but, and the coffee and cannabis are going to put me right back in the same spot as I left, where I was just useless and not making any progress. And so, but if I don't, I'm just stuck, man. Nothing seems to be worth it. It all seems to be just a big fucking challenge that I can't seem to figure out on my own. Part of my objective is to get something published that works, that's moderately impressive enough to be like, okay, let me share this with people and see if I can find anyone who might want to help. And I mean, cloning my framework and setting up your own site should be pretty easy. Now, right now with like GitHub Pages would be your best bet, and cloning the repo and turning on GitHub Pages may or may not be that easy, but I don't know. Depends on which account you're using, and I think everyone just automatically has their GitHub username .github.io, and so but then where does the repo go? I think it's then / the repo name as the default GitHub Pages URL. But then would it work? I think then it breaks if it's hosted at a sub path. You'd have to add like a base HTML element to every page. I think that could work, but that sounds like a big pain in the butt. Because then if you want to move it, then you have to go through all your index.html files. Well, another alternative is to do a rewrite, some sort of URL fallback, but last time I asked ChatGPT, it said that you had to use some sort of 404 page to just do a client-side redirect on every page. Basically, like, the GitHub server will respond with a 404, and then that 404 page will look at the URL and then redirect you. It's not even a redirect at that point. It just changes the URL. It's basically like a pretty janky way to do it, and I don't like that. I feel like investing in those weird systems that you might actually get it to work. It might work okay, but like if you're doing things the wrong way, then or they change things, or you figure out some weird side effect from it down the road that's like just completely undermines your entire system. Not a good way to go. Well, I think I need some coffee. I think that's my plan. I was thinking, streaming it's not a bad idea of like trying to just work towards the thing. I found some focus in the streaming. Starbucks, just be quiet. I found some focus in this whole streaming thing. Like turning on my camera and talking to the computer. Even though nobody's watching, somebody could one day, or I might have AI look through my videos or something, and what outcome from this video could there even be? It's just me in my yesterday sleep shirt, kind of bumming it in my messy office. Getting my office fixed up would be nice. But right now, I feel so brain dead, man. This is the fucking shit of life. It's like, can't think, don't want to do anything. There is this weird, like, cloud that comes over me where it's just like, nope, you're not doing anything, buddy. You just sit there and fucking stew over your own misery. Your spiritual energy has been taken from you and you're just fucked. So, I could sit here all day trying to make a useful thought go through my head enough so that I'd be like, okay, let's give it a shot. Maybe I can see an end to that whole thing. But if every idea I have is like, not really seeing how that's going to work, more questions than answers, working on that would be a waste of time. That's how I feel. That's why I don't work on it. So this is the trap that I'm in, is that it's like, I could just write something down and then spend all day trying to solve that thing without knowing how to do it. Maybe all week, maybe all month. It doesn't really matter. The point is that, like, well, I mean, staying focused on one thing has definitely been one of my problems. So, and I do think getting my website published in a more shareable way is a good goal, but there's the framework. There's, like, endless features for the framework. There's the documentation and examples, and creating a website to try and teach people how to use my framework wouldn't be that hard, and it's obviously like a requirement for getting my framework working. It's just, I mean, maybe that's the task. Maybe it's like, got to get the framework published so that people can use it. But now that I'm thinking about that whole GitHub Pages thing, I hadn't really thought that through before, but if all the GitHub pages are by default hosted at a, let's just call it the base path, username.github.io/account name not account name, repo name, that's the base path, and all the absolute URLs that you start with a leading slash are going to break. They could try and be relative, but doing relative paths means that doing deep content just gets, you can't drag and drop it, it breaks. So more or less, you can't have that base path unless you can do some sort of 404 rewrite rule. Maybe it's the way to go for now. Maybe I need to create a fork of the framework that is set up to work on GitHub Pages as a path-based base URL 404 rewrite bullshit. It's actually not a terrible idea because it's probably the best way to get people using it. It's a little wonky, I'm not gonna lie, but if you want people to use the framework, they gotta be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and having their own web page is part of that thing. Now, I was thinking about using GitHub Pages for my own site. I decided to use Firebase, which might be a mistake. I don't like having to do the Firebase deploy. It would be way easier to just use GitHub. I do have the author's authentication set up via Firebase, which is was way too hard to set up. I was like, Jesus Christ, guys. How many clicks does it take to set up a website? Holy fuck. Yeah, I mean, building a web app creator, it's not that much more difficult than creating one of these drag and drop website editors. You just add more features to it. But that's kind of a pretty tricky starting point to come from, and I don't have that working yet. I can do drag and drop. I can do content, but saving the content, the persistence, that's a whole beast that I've dabbled with, and I think I could get the sockets to save the JSON data properly and load it in and get it all working, but I don't know. Maybe some coffee and push-ups and sit-ups will help. Let's see.